Everybody always saying Auburn, Alabama was the biggest rivalry. Around here, Tallassee and Reeltown was the biggest rivalry.
Small school level like Alabama.
Just like the Alabama-Auburn game.
It was kind of like an Alabama-Auburn thing.
It's kind of like the Iron Bowl.
Kind of like a small Alabama-Auburn game.
It's like Alabama-Auburn.
Bigger than Alabama-Auburn.
It was like a mini Auburn-Alabama game.
Put it in the same category like the Iron Bowl.
About as close to the Iron Bowl of high school football as you can get.
Like Auburn, Alabama.
It's like the Iron Bowl.
And Bryant Denny and Jordan Hare, the fans are more spacious.
Auburn, Alabama is just that hype for us.
It's bigger than the Auburn-Alabama game.
And I'm an Alabama fan and my wife's an Auburn fan.
Like when I tell you Auburn and Alabama atmosphere, it's just a smaller version of that.
It's our Iron Bowl.
It's like Alabama versus Auburn on steroids.
Pretty much like Auburn and Alabama play. Maybe like Auburn, Alabama.
It's kind of like an Alabama and Auburn game.
Bigger.
And I know, of course, we have the rivalry between Auburn and Alabama.
Just like an Auburn-Alabama game.
Probably as close to the same rivalry as the Alabama-Auburn football game.
Have you ever been to an Auburn and Alabama game and you knew that you could not wear the other color?
It's right there. It's east and it's west, and I guess that's what it is, Tallassee Reeltown.
Kind of boiled down to one side of the river against the other side of the river.
It creates an atmosphere of east versus west.
And then when they went to high school together and said they'd have fights and everything.
It definitely is a unique situation, especially the fact that Tallassee city limits extends into 2 counties. I don't know anywhere else that happens.
There's a bloodline that runs through that river.
Tallassee and Reeltown was separated by that.
Created an instant thought, I'm better than you, or you're better than me.
East side being Reeltown, the west side being Tallassee.
So it's from the west side, different from the east side. It's all the spec, you know.
East side, west side, it was like, it was crazy growing up, man.
We all family. This side, that side.
East and west.
It was always East Tallassee and Tallassee, but I mean, it's still like a division between Tallassee and Reeltown.
Even we had to play in the backyard against the east and the west, or if we had to play on Friday nights in high school. Got the Elmore County side, TALLAPOOSA side.
Always competition when it comes from this side and that side.
I pretty much grew up on the east side. I lived close to Reeltown.
East side versus west side.
I mean, it's just a skip and a hop, and you over there.
It's the same families on both sides.
I don't even know where you draw the lines at, to be honest with you.
So now, when we think in terms of the east side and the west side,
I won't call it a confrontation, but a division in the community. Yeah, I live in East Tallassee, and a school bus that drives by every day that says Tallassee City Schools, and we have another that drives by that says Reeltown Schools.
Most schools pretty much want you to establish the school you're going to attend early on and not change.
The east side has supplied a lot of students to Tallassee High School, but the Reeltown school buses run right down through East Tallassee.
And when they've changed at times, there's been issues, especially if there was an outstanding athlete.
Reeltown school bus came by my house every day. My neighbor across the street, their kids went to Reeltown, so the bus actually stopped in front of my house every day.
Bus came right over here by us, every day.
Tallassee is a city system, and they're not in the county system. And their jurisdiction lines are supposed to be the city limits.
So we have a lot of mixture of kids who would go to Reeltown.
And you even, sometimes you ask folks, and is that person a Reeltown or a Tallassee person?
I don't know what the definite definition of the gray zone is, but the gray zone has been around for a long time. And you might have a great athlete that's living in that gray zone. You know, Reeltown might want him, Tallassee may want him.
Where I live right now, I have neighbors one side of me that go to Tallassee, neighbors on the other side go to Reeltown.
Players on one side that lives on one side but goes to school on the other.
Wall Street was the community that I grew up in, and it basically sat in a gray area where it was right on the division between the school district.
It was awkward, but you know, but we're from the same city, see each other every day, different school district.
Once you pick a side, you stuck with it.
You have houses like intermingled. Some of the kids go to Reeltown, some of the kids go to Tallassee.
It's the best of both worlds going to both schools like that. You know, I loved my time at Tallassee. In the back of my mind and in my heart, my home was always in Reeltown.
Pretty much all the kids around me that lived anywhere close to me were Reeltown.
Kids that, was in Reeltown that had family in Tallassee. There was kids in Tallassee that had, family in Reeltown. That makes it that much more competitive because you're playing against a guy that you may be a neighbor and you got to play against him on Friday night.
Both schools were to emerge with each other. You talking about great football, baseball, basketball, softball, wrestling. I think I would continue to have that rival going. Either go to Tallassee or you can go to Reeltown.
I know a bunch of guys that went from Reeltown to Tallassee
guy went from Tallassee to Reeltown. You still family. Ain't nothing gonna stop that.
You can go either way, depending on where you start out. But then if you start at that school and you want to go to the other school, you got to sit out a year.
So you have some people in the community playing for Tallassee that was predominantly Reeltown.
I actually rode the bus when I was small, and I had to get dropped off like a mile up the road and walk the rest of the way because Tallassee couldn't cross that line.
Didn't really want to stay in the gray area. That was gonna be tough on you. It's just what you're gonna have when the schools are so close.
As soon as you cross the river, Fitzpatrick Bridge, you find out that there are students who live near each other who attend different schools.
Their school zone came down into the east side of Tallassee.
Girl would be a cheerleader at Reeltown, and her first cousin would be a cheerleader at Tallassee.
But they wind up in the backyard at home on the same old basketball court.
I think that might make the rivalry a little closer because people live in the same neighborhood.
What's the gray area, the division of each one of the schools and everything?
You know, what was the gray area? Because I actually knew someone that was going to Tallassee that lived on 49, and that was not even, 2 miles from the school.
When they want to come to school here at Tallassee, we have to get out the map and we have to look at the lines and figure out which area are they.
I live in Reeltown School District, but I was about a mile from being in Tallassee School District.
We could have actually chosen whether or not I wanted to go to Reeltown or Tallassee, and the school bus turned around in my backyard. My next door neighbors behind me, they went to Reeltown.
Some kids went to Tallassee, some kids went to Reeltown, but the parents worked together every day.
The city limit sign ran down the middle of our road. Still continued to go to Tallassee, which I did, but my brother ended up going to Reeltown.
These are not my words, but it's kind of like the Civil War. I mean, you got brother against brother, neighbor against neighbor.
Family against family, friends against friends.
Cousin against cousin.
It's family against family, friends against friends.
This is your cousin.
You got family, you got friends.
Battle between two families.
Family going against family.
So many people that are kin.
Cousins and brothers and sisters, I mean, they're all going against each other.
Them your cousins over there. Them your brothers. Them your sisters.
Because I'm competing against my best friend.
Hit our brother in a heartbeat, but somebody else better not do it.
I liken it to me being in my backyard with my best friends. They're my best friends, but I want to beat them.
Families and players and all interact.
My mom best friend lived over there, so her kids were playing against me.
My high school sweetheart and wife, she stayed 3-4 houses from Coach O'Neill. She went to Tallassee.
High school sweetheart was a Tallassee person. I stayed in Reeltown.
Actually, I have a brother-in-law now that played against me in the Reeltown Tallassee first game.
We're playing that ball game on Friday night, and on Saturday, me and Tallassee boys are camping out together, spending the night at one another's house, going hunting the next day.
Had a guy I graduated in. Well, he hung out with a bunch of guys from Reeltown. He dated a girl from Reeltown. So his nickname, our whole senior year of football, we called him Blue because all his buddies were from Reeltown. So.
Yeah, I had friends in Tallassee. Me, Jonathan Rivers. People always tried to pit us against each other, but hey, me and Jonathan still tight today.
We now have the opportunity to really just engage and be able to talk because of the Reeltown Tallassee Rivalry. You know, something get you in tears, right? That give a tear talking about that, man. It's a great holiday, no question about it, man.
I had friends in both sides, spend the night parties. These were people that I have grown up with, love.
We hung out with Reeltown guys. Some Reeltown guys hung out with Tallassee guys.
Everybody that was from Tallassee, man, I knew.
Growing up, I spent a lot of time growing up and playing with some of the guys I actually played with. Love-hate relationship.
Some of the kids that's on the Reeltown side, you grew up with them.
We know everybody. I mean, it's so small. You got to know everybody.
You know, you can be friends off the field, but when you get on the field, it's a battle, it's a fight.
You know, and you'll be friends. You know, they just went to another school.
Back when I was growing up, you barely had friends from the opposite side.
You know, backyard football games in the off season, we had a lot of Tallassee players that would come play with us.
We was all great friends because you're around each other every day during the summer. When you bring the football into the aspect of it, it's a whole different cat, man.